in the bank, we've got Think Customer, Embrace Change, Act Now, Move Together and Speak Up. And the one I like a lot, or the one that gets a lot of focus and relates to a lot of the material in the book, is actually Speak Up. So how do you create an environment where colleagues, customers as well, shareholders and communities, but colleagues can speak up, share what's on their mind, help you improve day in, day out, and are not afraid to take risks and to fail, not afraid that they're going to have a negative consequence because they say something, and so on and so forth. And I'm observing this in many companies around the world, that this is a particularly hot topic. And to me, it comes down to, do you have an environment of psychological safety? So do you have an environment where people are not afraid to speak up, where they're not afraid to fail? And therefore, you boost your innovation because people can speak freely. But it's very hard to do. And of course, there are some concrete things to do. But if I tell you an example, perhaps we'll learn a bit more and share a bit more in a light-hearted way rather than going too theoretical. You know, I try not to be, but I'm a little bit of a geek. And during the COVID-19, I was at home. It was a February night in 2021. And I'm there on the SpaceX website. And you know, SpaceX is Elon Musk's company to send rockets into space. And basically, it's a private company. I've worked out the rocket is about $45 million in parts and labor alone. And they were live streaming the Falcon 9, which is one of their premier products, being sent off into space and then coming back down to land. So you've got this fantastic YouTube-like video on their website. The chief engineer of SpaceX is doing the voiceover and explaining everything. You see a beautiful rocket going up, you see all the fire and the flames and everything exciting. And as it's coming down to land, it explodes. $45 million literally gone up in smoke. Just like that. And I thought the chief engineer would be a bit upset, a bit angry. And, you know, maybe I say he's not going to start shouting, but he's not going to be happy. And his response and his voiceover took me by surprise. He said, well, we have a lot of good data. We're going to improve the next time. We'll learn from this mistake and this accident. And lo and behold, 1 month later, SpaceX is sending the Falcon 9 up and down, landing it perfectly, no problems, no issues whatsoever. And it dawned upon me that there was a level of psychological safety within the company there, where they wanted to learn, where they wanted to improve, where they were not finger pointing at one another and laying blame on who did what or who should have done something. And that was really interesting to me. And I compare and contrast it in the book to the case of Boeing, which is a fantastic example, very sad example of what happens when you don't have psychological safety. And we all know the 2 737 MAX plane crashes that happened, really hundreds of fatalities, horrible, horrible tragedy that could have been avoided. And I say that it could have been avoided because the US Congress did a congressional report into the accidents to find out what were the learnings and how to stop that from happening in the future. And they cited the word culture no less than 60 times in their report as one of the main failings that contributed to the crash. And they found that the engineers within Boeing knew that there was a design flaw on the planes, but they couldn't speak up. They couldn't escalate the issues. The leadership didn't want to hear problems with the plane, and they suppressed people's voices. So 2 really distinct examples on a not dissimilar aviation theme of one where you can really learn and do great things, and one where lack of speaking up, lack of psychological safety causes a monumental catastrophe. And I think the key for me, and as I see it in companies within the bank and other companies, people want to have psychological safety, people want to have their voices heard, but we need leaders to facilitate that and build the environment so that can happen.